So Dave, which section are we at here?
We're at the take-up section of the conveyor, the very start of the conveyor.
Run us through what you've done to design a much more effective and efficient take-up section.
Okay, the first thing is my proprietary take-up, roller-up assembly here on the take-up. Instead of just having this air cylinder pushing a little plate that lifts the roller up, it mounts to a cradle, and that cradle lifts up and lifts this center part that is mounted to the shaft. You can see it's much smoother operation. As rollers come along, they'll hit the ramp, take the ramp the rest of the way up. As this comes down, it's able to actually absorb some of the blow, because of the low, it only takes 10 psi to lift that roller up. Then you also have a really easy, simple manual send attached to it. The reason I went to all this is I've seen way too many of these air rams with just a little ball on the end. Either that ball breaks off or the air ram gets bent. This is a much longer life, longer lasting setup.
Tell me about the antifreeze that you use to run this system.
It's an air over oil.
Is it air over oil?
Yeah, it's an air over oil setup with antifreeze instead of oil.
What's the advantage of that?
The reason why I use that, I use these stainless steel canisters. They have 2 quarts of antifreeze in them that runs into the cylinder here. That keeps the cylinder lubricated so it doesn't rust. The reason why that's important is I use just a hydraulic cylinder. I could use an air cylinder that's going to run you about $1,500 to $2,000 per side, as opposed to these that are about $200 a piece. And these you can get locally at any agricultural store, easily sourced all over the place.
And again, this is the Series 67 conveyor, but you do make a smaller version of this.
Yes, I make the smaller version. It uses the same cylinders, the same roller-up mechanisms, and all that. The only thing that is different on the other one is it's a little bit smaller take-up sled.
So Dave, I noticed on the back, you use that same design on the bolts that you used on the motor section of this.
Yes, it's got the collars around the nuts. It also has them on the nuts below here. So you don't have to hold a wrench under there as you're working these. Sometimes you're just working them a little bit loose just to do a slight movement. Sometimes you're really cranking down on them. It's nice not to have to hold a wrench underneath any of these bolts.
All right, and again, it makes it a lot more efficient. It lasts longer, maintenance, and you don't have to rack your knuckles again.
Exactly.
All right, Dave, tell me a little bit about the top deck again for the take-up section and why that is important.
Okay, I use a conveyor belt for the hinge for the roller return lid. The roller return lid is made up of 2 1/4-inch plates. You have an inside and an outside one. Recessed bolts, there's 9 of them. I mean, sandwiched really nice. I have a larger opening here which allows for a range of different rollers to be able to be used on this conveyor, as well as a nice take-up ramp that allows for less wear on the rollers and less jamming of the rollers coming up.
Show me that take-up ramp again.
Yeah, you can see how that comes up. So the rollers are able to roll up over more surface area and tighter to this inside edge, so you get less jamming of the rollers.
Awesome. Dave, is there anything that you would like to point out again as we're here on the take-up section?
Yes, the take-up sled, not only does it incorporate these large double tapered roller bearings again, just much like the drive section does, but it's got a heavy-duty sled that travels back and forth to keep your chain tight. It uses that 3-inch by 3-inch UHMW sliding on stainless steel. The reason why that's important is you always want this traveling straight forward, straight back. You don't want it going side to side, because that makes for easier derailment of your chain. I also have a nice heavy take-up drum here, which could be unbolted from the center hub, and you could use just a regular sprocket back here if that's what you prefer. Same sprocket as you'd use on your drive section. Neat thing about the take-up is you can always look right here and see how far back it has traveled. Right here is how much more distance it has to travel back. As soon as this gets to the back, you have used up all your take-up. It is now time to take out a link. Visually, you can see you still have space. You can still keep running. You can see how much you've gone back. Simple, easy reference.
So the take-up just means that the chain is stretched. It's time to replace links.
Yep.
I think it's so important that people understand that this is not your average Joe conveyor. This is something that you put a lot of love, passion, and time in to make sure that your customers get their money's worth when you're building this conveyor. Anything to add to that, sir?
It's not the cheapest conveyor out there, and you don't want the cheapest. The cheapest will leave you broke down on busy days. It'll leave you losing money on busy days. You want to stay open, you want to stay in operation, and you want to go for a long period of time. You don't want to be changing it out every few years. You want to be changing it out every few decades. So that's what this conveyor is built to do.
So the money you save on maintenance costs is going to make itself up in the long run by paying a little extra money now and saving yourself a lot of headache later.
Yes, routine maintenance, greasing bearings, these larger double tapered roller bearings, you only need to grease those once a month. You don't have to grease them every week. You can if you choose to, but you're going to do them once a month. Instead of 2 or 3 shots of grease in there, you're going to be doing 10 or 12. So yeah, he's going to be putting the same amount of grease in there, less frequent. Your maintenance guy is now freed up to go and do all those other jobs you've always been asking him to do.
Excellent. Well, hey, thank you for your time. I think this is a great idea and a very good quality product. If anybody needs to contact Dave, he can be contacted at...
You can contact me through our website at davesvictoryfab.com or dave@davesvictoryfab.com.
And you'll see it right behind him. There is the website, davesvictoryfab.com. You'll love his product. Dave's an awesome guy, and I think that whoever buys one of these conveyors is going to be extremely happy with the quality of work. Yeah, don't forget to order one of the chain pullers. I think that is one of the best ideas for this particular type of product. Get yours through Dave at his website, and I'm sure you'll be happy with that.
Thank you.